Well, this morning I threw a carburetor on this thing that I knew was good. This is a Asian cheapy Tecumseh, but I know this carburetor works good on my rope mini bike engine. So I tried it and it's still acting the same. So there's something up with this. I'm not quite sure what it is. So I think I'm going to put this one on the back burner a little bit and clean the carburetor on this one and try to get it ready to sell it, because it's in pretty good shape otherwise. So I'm going to get on that. So this carb looks like it's leaking a little bit, and it's leaking water from the handle over here from being outside, which isn't a good thing. That's why they rust. So let's pop off this bowl and shut off the gas over there. It's pretty nasty. That gasket is definitely rotted. Wow, this nest was well hidden. I had no idea it had this much in there. Hey, we have to pull off the shroud, which is a pain in the neck to put on a new gas line, but we do need a new gas line, so we've got to do it. Okay, well, I've been working on this little Ariens with a 6 horsepower on it, and I've changed the carb 3 times. I put on one that I knew worked pretty good, and it was still would idle, but in the high RPMs it would just break up like hell. So I did a little search online, and somebody said take the spark plug and close the gap way up to like 0.05. Is that right? 0.05, and give it a try. And this is what it's like. That's a shitload better than it was. And what that means basically is that the ignition system is weak. So we're going to pull all that crap off again and put in new points and condenser, I guess, which I should have done in the first place. But on the other hand, we got this one. This one I've kind of done the same song and dance with too. I found another carburetor in my stash. It was the same, and it had non-adjustable jets. I cleaned this one up and I put the adjustable jets in, and this runs pretty good too. Let's start it up and see. I also wanted to show before I mount it, a little bit easier to see. I JB welded this cracked light back, and it looks like it's going to hold up pretty good. And JB weld on the gas tank as well. Looks like crap. I might sand that out a little bit, but that fixed the leak. Okay. Oh, and one more JB weld. The key comes in here. This thing had fallen off, and there's these little plastic tabs that stick through here, and it looks like they melt them or something to hold them in there, but once they fall out, they're kind of gone. So a little dab of JB weld on the top of that holds it just fine. Well, maybe not as good as I had hoped. Yep, Okay, we got the flywheel off. Look at that rusty capacitor. I mean, you'd want to change that right away, right? Yeah, but I didn't. So I'm going to see what I got for points and condenser. I think I have new stuff, so I'm going to check. Okay, we got the new points mounted right here, and the condenser mounted here. The wires come down through here, get connected here, and now we got to set the point gap to the highest point on this lobe, which I assume is that point right there. So we'll turn the engine a little bit to get it there and set them to is it 0.020? Yep, it says so right on the cover. I put a little oil on this cover too to keep it from decaying. Okay, we got them all in. Point set. Wires go behind this thing here. Stay away from the flywheel. That's the kill right there. Okay, we'll put the flywheel back on and see if we have a difference. Okay, well, I'm putting the shroud back on. I figured I'd clean up these wires here because the key switch on the handles doesn't seem to work, and I'd like to get that working, and these look pretty corroded, so I'm just going to clean the connections and put it back on. Well, that was good. This one's really not too bad now. I got the throttle set up back on it, but I thought I'd show you, if I can, how the drive works. Okay, I'd like to see if I can get this ignition switch going, which is basically just an on-off switch. Doesn't seem to be doing anything now. So we're going to take the voltmeter, check for continuity by putting it on ohms. 20K doesn't really matter, I guess. And you hold the leads together, reads 0. So by putting it across the two leads, we get an open circuit, which means it's not closing. That's I think in the off position like that. Let's try it in this position. Yeah, it's the same in both positions, so I'm going to try cleaning these connections and see what happens. If it's inside, I don't know. I don't think I can get in there. Put a little contact cleaner in there maybe. Well, believe it or not, I had it fixed, and I tried to crimp the top like just a little bit harder, and it broke off, and I got pissed off and threw the thing on the ground, and all the parts went flying everywhere. So I don't think we're going to use this. We'll just use an on-off switch, which I know I have, but I can't find one right now, which adds to the frustration, but we'll get it anyway. And today's for fun project is this Tecumseh. It's like about an 8 horsepower. It seems to be seized up. I'm going to pull a shroud off it, see if I can get it unseized just for the heck of it. You think it'll happen? Shroud off. That bolt the head was all stripped out, but we got it out with vice grips. Let's see if I can turn this monkey. Moving, I think. Yeah. Oh yeah, there she goes. When I got this, it didn't even have any oil in the crankcase. Put a little used oil in there. Pulled it up pretty high. And some oil down the spark plug hole. It's been sitting for about 2 weeks now. Okay. Of course I want more, so I want to see a spark. So I'm going to put it on the drill. Get it moving. Today I'm going to start digging into this guy. I got to pull off the flywheel and re-glue on the magnets. There's kind of an impression of where the old magnet was, so I'm going to go with that, I think, and JB weld it on. The other three are in fairly decent shape, just need some refinements. But I just got to push forward on this one a little bit. Yeah, get a load of that coil. Boy. I might have to swap out this engine. Oh, that's pretty bad. Really bad. It's not C's though. Okay, this one appears to be a single shaft. Can't really tell what size. Ooh, looks like maybe 1 inch. Okay. Okay, here we have the flywheel. Now you can kind of see an impression of where the magnet was. I just pulled it out of there, and it was sitting there. But is that the place that it was put after it fell off? The other one is, looks like it was always there. There's kind of an area over here. I'm kind of scared to clean this up and lose any kind of markings. What a cheesy way to put them on. I mean, I'm telling you. I think I'm going to research online and see if I can find another flywheel and see if it looks like it's in this position. Then I'll probably go with that. Just give it a try. I got some other work to do on the other machine, so this is just a starting point on this one. So the handles on the Craftsman are kind of weird. They kind of overlap like this, so they're not as bad. But every time you pulled one, you kind of pull the other till it snapped by it. So what I've done is I pulled off this side. I drilled a hole for a cotter pin and put a washer on both sides. But I also gave this a squeeze in the vise so it was tighter, and this one's sitting up nice and straight. So I'm going to do the same with this side. They're tighter, but they still hit a little bit. Jeez, it bugs me. A shit design. Yeah, I can always cut them, but they're not terrible. Back on the Snow Champ. This one's running really good. I mean, everything works fine, except you can't shut it off. So you've got a wire here. It's supposed to be coming from the points or the coil, and if I ground it out, it doesn't do anything. So I don't know if it's hitched up or what's going on, but I have to make a kill switch somehow on this. So if I take the meter from the end of this wire to the lead, God, I can't see, it's sunny. You can probably see it, but I can't. To the lead right there, I get continuity. But if I go to the lead below it and then to the end, if I go underneath it just to the lead, not to the wire, it's an open path. So I'm going to try to clean up that connection and see what I get. So tonight I decided to look at that black, I think 8 horsepower Tecumseh. that was seized up, and I just wanted to look at the points, clean them up, and see what if I can get them to spark. And you can probably tell by the sound of my voice. So why won't you spark now? Well, I did have a spark. I don't seem to have a spark now, though. So what I did is I swapped condensers, and it was still kind of the same story. And so I looked at the points again, and the gap was off, and after I filed them, I didn't run a piece of paper through them, which gets kind of the crud out of there. And that kind of helped, and it looks like a pretty healthy spark. I don't know, I put the old condenser back in. Why waste a new one if that one will do it, but it still might be weak, but we'll see if it'll sputter next. Okay, it's the next day. Let's see if we can get this thing to sputter. Two-stroke juice. Oh. Yes. That's good enough for me. The carb on that thing will run. So I must say, I'm pretty impressed with how my lawn tractor picked up the leaves. That old bitch, old Craftsman, 80s, 90s, I'm not quite sure. I've had it for a long time. But I put new blades on it, and the old blades would not suck up leaves. I guess they were flat, so these seem to do it. Put it all in the hopper in the back, and then you just dump it into the barrel. Love it. Okay, today we got to put it on a thinking cap instead of just brutally moving forward. I was having a problem with a kill switch yesterday. First off, the ignition switch broke in my hands. Then I went out and I got a toggle switch like this. And basically, it's two leads like that. One's got to go to the points. And it's a red and a black here. The red's going to ground. The black is going to the points. So that in effect should turn it off, but for some reason it's not. And I'm not sure why. And I really hope that wire is hitched up to the points, or I hate pulling this thing apart again. This thing's running great, everything except you can't shut it off. How stupid is that? Well, you can with a choke, but... Then over here on the Snow Champ, I had the same problem too. I pulled off the shroud. I went to the coil. This one has no points. I went to this terminal here and ran a wire straight to the ground, and it still sparks. So shouldn't that ground it out? I think it should, but it's not. And I might have another coil like that. I'm just scared of those posts like breaking because they're kind of rusty. But I'm wondering if this lead broke off from the coil inside or something, and that's why it won't work. Because this one's about ready to go. Okay, this kill switch stuff is driving me nuts. Why? Because I can't seem to make it work on the other machine. So I'm over here on the ST whatever, old ugly Ariens, and I pulled off the old coil and stuff. I realize there's a timing issue here, but look at this. I mean, it's not going to work with that anyway. I'd like to hear this thing like sputter maybe today. I should get my interest going again, because I'm kind of pissed about those kill switches. Well, a whole nother day of like setbacks. I got the switch in there. It sometimes works. You do it a couple of times and the engine will definitely kill. I looked at the carb, and the carb had water in it. And then the float had holes in it. So I cleaned it all up, and I emptied the gas tank, and I cleaned out the gas tank rather well. This time I found a little crack too. Put some JB Weld on it, and it seems to be running pretty good now, but this is today, and we'll see what it does tomorrow, right? I also got a neat little knob for the chute. So I thought I'd swap over now to the Craftsman 826. Geez, what a fleet. And this one kind of acted just like the little Ariens did, that you know, I had it running good, and then all of a sudden it starts breaking up again. So I want to see what's in the bowl of this one today. So I'll crack that thing off and take a look. So how could it look so shitty with clean gas in that tank? Well, it sounds dirty someplace.